Today we're making a Halloween lollipop inspired by the video game character Huggy Wuggy. Now this reimagined Huggy Wuggy will be the perfect addition to your Halloween display. So join me for this super fun and easy tutorial. Today, we're creating a Halloween lollipop that was inspired by the video game character called Huggy Wuggy. Now, Huggy Wuggy is a tall, menacing blue creature that has scary teeth and big red lips. It's from the video game called Poppy Playtime, and it's beloved by many and disliked by other people. But today, we're going to do a fun spin on the Huggy Wuggy by creating a lollipop version of him. I think this version will go really well with the other Halloween lollipops that I've created on my channel. So without further ado, let's start making our Huggy Wuggy lollipop. And look what we did over here. This is the shape of the lips of the Huggy Wuggy. We've drawn it out roughly with marker on a piece of plywood. It's important that you do it on a piece of plywood. Then we use some 2.5, 3-inch screws at various points so we can hold the PVC in place while it dries and cools, should I say. So have this like this. You just need to make it a rough shape. It's one of the easier shapes to make on the Huggy Wuggy. And I measured the width to make sure that it's wide enough to be on the insulation foam board, and once our PVC has softened enough, then we're going to carefully with gloves put it around here. You're going to have extra PVC left over, and that's fine. We can use a PVC cutter to cut that end, and it's super simple. And this is what you should be left with. As you saw in the time lapse, we were manipulating the pipe and moving the screws to fit the shape that we wanted because we had the outline on the base over there. So this is a rough shape over here. Now we need to spray paint this red, but I think I'm going to, once this completely cools and hardens again, I think I'm going to wrap it with a little bit of tape. All right, so I put some electrical tape really nice and tight. That's perfect there. And look how the smile is going to look. So we're going to spray paint this with a glossy red, but the inside has to be black for the mouth. So we could do one of two things. We could get black felt fabric and cut it to this shape and then glue it on the inside. Or we could do this, use insulation foam board. This is 1/2 inch thick. It's not the same size as this one. This one was 2 inches that we used. This is just some 1/2 inch thick insulation foam board that I had. And I did the outline of the smile so we can cut it out, paint that black, and then put it on top. I think the felt fabric would probably be easier, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to use what I have, which is that. Once we paint it black, we can use the same type of glue that we're going to use to attach the fur fabric, which will be a little bit of expanding foam, should I say. We'll put a little bit of expanding foam here. We'll put that on top. We'll press it down really nicely, and we'll continue. So for the eyes, we're going to be using these 6-inch diameter acrylic fillable balls and these 6-inch diameter styrofoam balls. What we're going to do is we're going to paint 75% of this. We're going to paint it black, and I'm going to use some painter's tape to just mark it over here with the tape around. We're going to paint it black, remove the tape, and any mistakes, I just went with a small paintbrush to paint it black. Also right here, there's going to be a white dot. And they're going to go like this once they're done. Just like that. So it's going to be a shiny lens, and I think it's going to look really cool. We're using black latex paint. You could also use black acrylic paint. And let's get started. Once we're done, this is what we have right over here. Perfect. We'll let this dry, and then we'll do our white dot in the center right there, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so we have a 1-inch piece of PVC pipe. This is going to be the stem of the lollipop, and we want to make sure it goes almost to the top. Leave about 2 inches from the top, and it's going to be just like this. We're going to be attaching it with GreatStuff Expanding Foam. You're going to put expanding foam crisscross, up and down. Try to use most of the bottle because you want it to really grab onto this. And then we're going to let it dry. Once it's dry, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be pretty strong. One quick piece of advice, don't do the tape all the way to the top. We just want it to start right there because we want to make sure that the expanding foam only grips the PVC and the foam board. And once this dries completely, then we're going to use the same GreatStuff Expanding Foam as an adhesive to stick the blue fur to the front and back side. So for the teeth, I'm actually using these extra long stiletto acrylic nails. They come in a pack of a lot of them with different sizes. So I think that's going to be awesome to give it that nice different teeth size. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make holes so we can push the nail into it. We're going to do it like that, like that. We're going to use a little bit of hot glue to push it into the holes that we make. And bam, I think it's going to look great. All right, so we're approaching the end and I want to talk about a few things. I found it easiest to use your X-Acto knife to do a half moon shape for the acrylic nail at an angle so you can just push them right in. But then I did them all and then I went back with hot glue, removed it, put a little hot glue, pushed it back in. I thought it was easier that way. You definitely want to add a drop of hot glue so that they stay in place. So we have the eyes. Got it? So the issue here is if I put hot glue on the inside to attach it to the acrylic ball, it's going to deform the styrofoam. And I want it to be done now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use expanding foam, which we have it right here. We're going to use a little bit of expanding foam on the bottom to hold it right there. Got it? That's what you're going to do. We're just going to part the hair just like this. And then carefully, first, we're going to do this so we can see where it's going to go. Then we're going to get our glue gun and carefully we're going to put glue in the line that we made or in the circle that we made. Try not to touch the styrofoam ball because it'll start melting it. But just like that, bam. Okay, and then we get this. Move it a little bit like that. Make sure you have good contact, and bam, we are good to go. And for this, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put expanding foam here on the bottom. We're going to put plenty of expanding foam so that this can go over like this. Because this is heavier, you want to make sure you put a good amount of expanding foam. But you have to remember that this is going to start rising because of the foam. So after about 3 to 5 minutes, come back, go like this back and forth. So it squishes back down. And then after a few more minutes, come back and do the same thing so that it doesn't expand too much. Remember, this is going to want to push everything up. But as long as you keep on moving it back and forth, breaking up the bubble, it'll stay relatively flat. And then right here, I put 2 screws right up here. The reason I did is because I didn't want to attach the PVC with glue to the board directly because it doesn't make actual good contact on all areas. So I thought I would drive a screw through. So I did a pre-drilled hole and then I put the screw in, but this screw is only temporary. I want to get an actual 2.5, maybe 3-inch screw, so it goes through the board, through the fur, and into the board underneath. And since there's going to be expanding foam, it's all going to be held really nicely. And then we can just apply a little paint to the screws, and that way it's nice and solid in place.